Bible states in Ezekiel 33:6 that if a watchman sees the sword coming and does not blow the trumpet to warn the people, and the sword comes and takes someone's life, that person's life will be taken because of their sin, but I will hold the watchman accountable for their blood. As a watchman for our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, I was led to create this video on the mark of the beast, which is described in Revelation 13. Throughout my entire professional career, I've been involved in various industries and technologies that I believe make up the mark of the beast system. These experiences has enabled me to see how what was prophesied in the Bible over 2,000 years ago is actually coming to pass at this very point in time. But to fully comprehend what the Lord is revealing to us in these end times, and even in this video, it requires spending time with Him and studying the Word of God. As a founder of a leading utility systems integration company who is members of several smart grid city councils, and whose company was also acquired by one of the multinational corporations mentioned in this video, I can speak from personal experience. Because even though I was involved with global policy initiatives such as climate change, and I had industry and technology experience that make up much of the platform for the Mark of the Beast, I was still spiritually blinded to the real agenda behind the United Nations sustainability goals and the true purpose behind these smart city initiatives. Once I had been born again and received my new spirit from Christ, I was able to see through the deception in the world and how these smart city and sustainability initiatives are actually being designed to build a surveillance state to enslave humanity, as well as deconstruct the current world system into a new world order or a one world government that will ultimately be ruled by a one world leader who will be the Antichrist. I hope whoever watches this video will take into consideration my own personal experience before you disregard this video as conspiratorial. Because if someone like myself who is intimately involved with these smart city initiatives at the highest level could be deceived, just imagine how easy it will be for Satan to deceive the rest of the world by offering technology solutions that are aimed on improving our quality of our lives, faster internet speeds for efficiencies, conveniences, and security, and ultimately providing us the ability to merge our bodies with machines. Once you accept the mark of the beast, your soul is lost forever, and you can no longer be redeemed. Consider this video my warning to you, and I'm blowing the trumpet to let you know that the sword is coming, and Jesus is returning to bring judgment to all those who have rejected Him and have not believed. The Bible prophesied over 2,000 years ago that in the end times, just before the second coming of Christ, there would be a worldwide digitally integrated financial system platform that would exist to control all commerce throughout the world. To participate in this system, every person from every nation and every tribe, rich or poor, would be required to receive a digital ID in their right hand or forehead to be able to buy or sell in this system. This system is known as the Mark of the Beast.
And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand, or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
Can a microscopic tag be implanted in a person's body to track his every movement? There's actual discussion about that. You will rule on that, mark my words, before your tenure is over.
Is an approved device. There's been nothing that has come out since 2004 that has done anything to change the FDA's stance on it.
We think it's the right thing to do for advancing innovation, just like the driverless car.
I can't believe he just paid with his hand. Like, you just literally put your hand up and you're good to go. Like, that's crazy.
The blockchain is the DNA of the mark of the beast. ID2020.org. digital identity benefits both individuals and organizations. Personal, unique to you and only you. Persistent, lives with you from life to death. Portable, accessible anywhere you happen to be through multiple form factors. A unique convergence of trends provides an unprecedented opportunity to make a coordinated, concerted push towards the goal of universal digital identity. New technologies including blockchain, when it is used in conjunction with long-proven technologies such as biometrics, now make it possible for all people to have access to a safe, verifiable, and persistent form of technology. The ID2020 project is funded by Accenture Corporation and Rockefeller Foundation. Accenture and Microsoft are creating a blockchain solution for this digital biometric ID. They are working for a biometric blockchain technology to decentralize the digital identity. This platform is called the Decentralized Identity Foundation. Decentralized Identity Foundation. A key of the decentralized identity equation is how people, devices, and other entities in the world are identified absent a centrally owned registry. DIF seeks to address this by developing specifications, protocols, formats, and implementations for cross-chain routing, indexing, and resolution of decentralized identifiers and names. Some of the points for the Decentralized Identity Foundation are decentralized identities anchored by blockchain IDs linked to zero-trust data stores that are universally discoverable. This crossover platform for the digital universal ID is the framework for the Mark of the Beast. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation presents The Goalkeepers. The UN-based Better Than Cash Alliance, funded by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, is moving towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals through digital payments.
Well, it's all about helping the poorest, and one thing they don't have access to is bank accounts. The fee structure, if you have small amounts of money, is just too high, and we got involved in some traditional microlending, but just didn't see how that could scale up and get inexpensive enough. So now we're involved in trying to make sure we get a very efficient digital payment structure set up for all the poorest in the world to get financial products that work for them.
Dhaka, the capital of Bangladesh. It's home to wretched poverty, endless traffic, and one of the fastest growing financial services anywhere in the world. It's called bKash. Setting up a bKash account is free. All you need is a mobile phone, and 100 million Bangladeshis have one. Transactions cost so little, services like money transfers and electronic payments are suddenly affordable. That's why the Gates Foundation is a bKash investor. Banking this cheap can change lives in a country this poor. The Gates Foundation initially saw bKash as a case for charity and gave it a grant. Then in 2014, it became an investor. bKash isn't just for money transfers. It's a payroll system, a mobile wallet, and a savings account. All digital, all affordable, all regulated by the central bank.
Blockchain technology is predicted to add 2.5 billion people to a new decentralized global economy. The promise, an inclusive global economy. Blockchain technology empowers all individuals. All individuals, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. The end goal for them is to get a biometric implant ID to everybody in the planet that will be tracked throughout the world using artificial intelligence in order to solve the Sustainable Development Goals. The blockchain will be used to track all the data in its supply chain, including your digital currencies.
You've probably heard of blockchain and Bitcoin before, even if, like me, you may not understand how it all works. But have you thought about how it could be connected to the Mark of the Beast prophecy? First, we need to understand how important faith is in the whole world of business. People put money in banks and they put money in governments because they trust them. But even banks and governments still fail occasionally. Getting people to put faith in some kind of worldwide digital money system which would override all the governments and banks in the world is even more difficult, given that virtually every new program they come up with on the internet can still be hacked. Bitcoin is the first fully digital currency that has apparently beat the hackers, and blockchain is the software that makes it work. However, behind this new technology is a mysterious and ominous origin. Immediately after the financial crisis of 2008, right on Halloween, October 31st, blockchain was announced and gifted to the world by an anonymous source, using the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto, who also made the first ever Bitcoin transaction known as the Genesis block.
A little bit less than 10 years ago, someone, and we still really don't know who, figured out how to make data secure on the internet.
In October of 2008, right in the midst of the financial crisis, immediately post-Lehman, a person came on the scene by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto. Satoshi was the founder of Bitcoin. And who is this person? Well, the funny thing is nobody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is. It's a pseudonym. But putting aside that we don't know who Satoshi is, what Satoshi did is an economic revolution. And I'll tell you about that economic revolution. It's called Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a Pacioli ledger, but it's one that's not based on trust. It is a trustless ledger. Bitcoin, for everything you've heard in the papers, for everything you've read, is just a ledger. But unlike Pacioli's ledgers, it requires no trust of any kind. The ledger is called a blockchain. And a blockchain, what it does is it replaces trust with mathematics. You don't have to trust Lehman, you don't have to trust Wachovia, you don't have to trust the Federal Reserve. All you have to trust is a mathematical proof. Satoshi was the first person to make that mathematical proof work.
It appears that once again, the technology genie has been unleashed from the bottle. Summoned by an unknown person or persons with unclear motives at a very uncertain time in history, this genie is once again at our disposal to fix a broken system and to transform the economic power grid and the old order of human affairs for the better, if we will it.
This startling fact about the anonymity of this revolutionary technology that is said to transform everything from financial systems to legal contracts is hardly touched upon as people rush forward with increasing ways to use this technology. Was it just a coincidence that it was gifted that fateful Halloween immediately after the financial crisis of 2008 as the solution to prevent such a thing from ever happening again? If ever a human population was given a Trojan horse, this must be the greatest of them all, given to the entire human population this time, with ramifications that could be even more devastating than those for the city of Troy all those centuries ago. I don't want to exaggerate the situation, but if the fact that nobody knows who designed this system doesn't cause you to seriously question all of this placid, or should we say greedy, acceptance and growing insistence on its uptake in ever more areas of society, you must really not be thinking at all. Whoever this mysterious Satoshi Nakamoto is, he or she has managed to get the world to start adopting their system, simply by literally giving people money, that is, bitcoins, in exchange for hosting the blockchain system, and promising users a new version of digital money that can be instantly transferred from one person to another without having to go through a bank.
When you give money to someone, you no longer have it. With money, it's essential to know that you're not getting a copy. And no one had yet figured out how to secure an open network like the internet in such a way that would guarantee that our money could not be changed, copied, or duplicated. Until now.
Why people are so excited, including me, about blockchain is the fact that it promises to solve the two problems that the internet could not. The trust problem and the intermediation problem. and bring back actually a true, honest to goodness, peer-to-peer economy.
Please take note that blockchain technology is also currently being implemented to register all of the world's citizens in a global biometric database to fulfill Goal 16.9 of the UN 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. Microsoft has also announced recently, in May of 2019, that they are developing a global digital ID system based on the Bitcoin blockchain network, which they hope will be used in future to access services on the internet. And the World Economic Forum is pushing this as the future of all commerce. As you can see, blockchain technology has been touted as the birth of a new version of the internet, and a technology that will revolutionize a whole range of industries around the world. It is seen by many as the solution to many of the world's financial and legal problems, and promises to help the unbanked and unregistered millions of the world with a transparent and secure system that can guarantee everything from their land ownership to their personal biometric identity. While the blockchain is being touted as being decentralized, meaning that it is not under any one person's control, it is being developed and implemented by a relative handful of people who have access to it in a way that normal users don't. So while all the other centralized systems that we currently put our trust in, for example the banks, look like they are giving up control, we are investing power into ever fewer hands with this blockchain technology. This is where artificial intelligence is being promoted as the answer to any flaws that enter the system through having humans in control of it. So much is said about it not requiring trust because it is infallible, but in fact it requires the highest form of trust, absolute trust, in a system which, we are told, is infallible. But if it can be adjusted to deduct taxes, then someone, somewhere, has the ability to use it and to abuse it. This is what Satan's plan and the mark of the beast is all about. Whether it be human programmers or artificial intelligence, we are being corralled into putting our trust into the hands of man's system, in the place of putting our ultimate trust in God. Indeed, this technology is encouraging us to eliminate the concept of trust and faith altogether, and replace it with a simplistic humanistic acceptance of data records, devoid of any moral element. We are being delivered into the hands of a system that wants to erode all trust except in itself. We are being lured into a system that promises us freedom from the banks and governments, but which will eventually lead to the greatest totalitarian system in the history of the planet. One day, an artificial intelligence-powered false god will demand that we see it as the only true source of life, that we only trust in it for our survival, or face the greatest persecution the world has ever seen. All independent, anonymous payment systems will cease, and the system will demand that all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except the one who has the mark or the name of the beast.
"5G will upgrade the human experience at home and across industries as we connect virtually everything. By 2020, analysts estimate that there will be more than 20 billion installed IoT devices around the world.
Something can be connected, it will be connected in the 5G world. Autonomous vehicles, smart city energy grids, transportation networks, and water systems. Hundreds of billions of microchips. But if anyone tells you that they know the details of what 5G is going to become, run the other way. The 5G revolution will touch all corners of our
A
country.
smart city, according to whaissmartgrid.org, is a city that harnesses technology and intelligent design to create a sustainable city. Wow. Harnessing technology, intelligent design, sustainability. Sounds awesome. Take a look at this declaration from sidewalklabs.com, a project owned by Alphabet Inc. that claims to be reimagining cities to improve the quality of life via ubiquitous connectivity for all. Self-driving tech, weather infrastructure, climate-positive neighborhoods, a new standard of sustainability. Who could be against all this? But why do we need all of our devices, from our toasters to our thermostats to our babies' diapers, to be networked at all? Do a web search for smart homes or smart cities, and you'll find a plethora of utopian marketing schemes telling you that we need this because this kind of network will improve your life. We can set mood lighting. We can adjust the temperature without even getting up. More data means we'll save money on our energy bill, and we'll be saving the environment at the same time. Sensors on the street will let us spend less time looking for parking, and our car will even give us suggestions about what to make for dinner based on what's already in our fridge. It'll even turn on your appliances in preparation for your arrival home. But is this really about saving time and electricity? Because this also means that it will be impossible to exist in one of these cities without constantly being monitored, even in the privacy of your own home. Think about it. A smart city is the perfect infrastructure for surveillance. So who's behind the move for these smart cities? Well, let's take a look at the Smart Cities Council, which calls itself a coalition of thought leaders. It's a collection of huge multinationals: Microsoft, IBM, MasterCard, Cisco, Bechtel, and GE. Not quite the entities that come to mind when you think of sustainability. But coincidentally, they are the companies that come to mind when you think of corporate consolidation, the pillaging of the world's natural resources, surveillance, and control.
It sounds in principle like anything that can make my life easier is not a bad idea, but how much of my privacy will I end up giving up so that I can have a more fluid lifestyle?
Oh, it'll be fluid, all right. There's a pun I don't want to get into because this is a family show. Smart is stupid. We've got a generation right now, kids in particular, I'm sorry, born into captivity. Keyless, cashless, and clueless. Who believe in this world of, it doesn't matter, just use whatever I've got. It's easier for me. Smart and green. When you hear smart and green, run. Rick, as we speak, you are on a 24/7 real-time worldview panopticon. You have in your pocket keyless entries. You've got a fob for your car. You've got credit cards with RFID, passports RFID, license tags. There is a place right now, if I wanted to just zoom in, where are you at any time? That's where you are.
Well, let me be that kid that you're describing and come back at you a little bit. Okay, so what? I mean,
it's your choice.
Well, that's the point. You guys from your generation who read 1984 and Brave New World and all that think that somehow new technology means the end of civilization. Yes. For me, it means I get to be a little more comfortable and do things I wouldn't normally do. What do you say to me now, Lionel?
I say to you that 1984 was never intended to be an instruction manual. The moment we put RFID chips in people, it's over. Remember that, my friend.
Lionel, you're awesome.
It's over.
ambitious plan to create an omnipresent video surveillance network. The Shuiliang or Sharp Eyes project aims to extend and integrate video surveillance from cities into villages and from roads into residential compounds. It aims to use artificial intelligence, big data and deep learning to analyze this mountain of video evidence, to work out who's doing what, where and when, to track suspects and the people they associate with, and even to predict crime. These cameras are looking at a road junction and they're identifying everything that's passing through. They're looking at cars, reading the number plates, and they're looking at pedestrians, classifying pedestrians according to their age, their gender, what kind of clothes they're wearing, even what kind of hairstyles they have. This software analyzes crowds. It's producing a heat map of where people are massing together, the sort of thing you might use to prevent overcrowding. You can also see that it's also able to track individuals through the crowd. So if you're looking for a suspect, this is the kind of software you might want to use. Here we can see two cameras picking faces out of the crowd, comparing those faces to a national database of suspects, of wanted men and women. The police then look at the matches that are flagged and see whether they think that's someone they're looking for. They can then swoop in to potentially arrest or question the person that the cameras have identified. A completely different application now. This camera is trained on the face of a truck driver. It's looking at his facial expressions and what he's doing to see whether he's showing any signs of tiredness. If the score rises above a certain level, then he's seen as too tired to drive. His company will be alerted. They'll give him a call and tell him to take a rest. The Sharp Eyes project has already been rolled out in more than 50 cities. So far, the tech doesn't quite match the ambition, but experts agree that facial recognition is improving fast and is a technology of the future. Concerns are being raised about whether the system will be used in China to unfairly target ethnic minorities or be used as a way to crack down on dissidents and activists.
They're constantly monitored by facial recognition cameras that are able to instantly put a face to a name. Now, the Chinese are also ranked, given a mark out of a possible 950 points. A score in the 700s is considered good. Around the 500 mark is not. For now, the number is a sort of bank credit rating, keeping track of everyone's spending habits. But in an effort to keep all of its subjects in line, Beijing is taking the system a step further in 2020. It's aggregating data gathered by banks, private companies, and the state to rate if someone's a good or bad citizen.
By using the most data possible, the so-called big data, the system will play an important role in rebuilding a moral society.
The state will go over every detail of a person's life with a fine-tooth comb. Their financial situation, spending habits, career, even behavior on social media. Criticizing the government online or displaying outward signs of wealth is a no-no. Good score brings benefits, but people with low scores lose rights. The cinema names and shames people considered untrustworthy, plastering their details, even their addresses, across big screens. The Supreme Court has created a blacklist for so-called bad citizens, those whose ratings have dropped to 0. On it are companies, but also 23 million people to date. Among them is this journalist Liu Hu. He got a little too close to uncovering corruption among high-profile party members. After being sued for defamation by the subject of a story he'd written, he was blacklisted. But he only realized when he tried to buy a train ticket and was told he was banned from traveling.
That tells me I'm still on the blacklist.
Punished because he's been branded untrustworthy by the state.
Once you're blacklisted, you can no longer get a bank loan, start a business, buy an apartment, or even send your children to a private school.
Okay, for anybody who hasn't been paying attention, I want to explain the Chinese social credit system. Since 2014 in China, the social credit system it has been implemented and is evolving into a single nationwide point system for all Chinese citizens, and it is akin to a financial credit score. It follows you everywhere. There is no place to hide from the cameras. If you jaywalk across the street, your social credit goes down. If you speak ill about the country, your social credit goes down. If you are talking to someone who has a low social credit score, your social credit goes down. It is horrible what is happening in China. It is becoming a true police state, Orwellian 1984, and it aims to punish for any kind of transgression that can include membership in or support for the Falun Gong or Tibetan Buddhism. If you haven't paid your debt, if you have excessive video gaming, criticizing the government, late payments, failing to sweep the sidewalk in front of your store or house, smoking, or playing loud music on trains, jaywalking, anything that is unacceptable by the Chinese government. It also awards points for charitable donations, even taking one's own parents to the doctor. And the punishments are harsh. There are bans on leaving the country, bans on using public transportation. So in other words, all of a sudden you get to the bus and your phone says, offender, not enough social credit, you have to walk. You're not taking a bus. You can't check into certain hotels. You will immediately not be hired for any high visibility job. If you have spoken out against the government, you have posted something that shouldn't have been posted, your children will be pulled out of the private school and may not even make it into a public school. It can result in slower internet connections and also social stigmatization because you are now registered on a public social blacklist. Your face actually goes up on billboards, electronic billboards, in your neighborhood. And anyone who interacts with you, their social credit goes down. If Google in Silicon Valley is helping them do these things, what makes you think that they won't do the same here? There are now 40 or so pilot projects operated by local governments, at least 6 run by tech giants. The New York State Department of Financial Services announced earlier this year that life insurance companies can base premiums on what they find in your social media posts. But now we have Patron Scan. It's now on sale in the United States, Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom, and it helps spot fake IDs, but it also tracks troublemakers. So when you arrive at, let's say, a Patron Scan using bar, what they do is they ask you for ID, they scan it. The company maintains a list of objectionable customers designed to protect venues from people who have previously had a problem in any bar, fighting sexual assault, drugs, thefts, or any other bad behavior. But the bad behavior, that list is up to each restaurant. If you are banned in one bar, you will be banned in all bars that use this system. And that's in Australia, the United States, the United Kingdom. No matter where you go, you are known as someone who can't go into the bar. They keep a private list that are not shared with other bars if they want, but if you are a bad customer, it can be kept for 5 years. They do have an appeals process, but it's up to the company whether they listen to it or not. Uber and Airbnb, we all know that when you get into an Uber, if the driver has written something bad about you, you're probably not going to get into another Uber. If you have somebody who didn't like you, can say whatever, you're going to not be able to use Uber. Airbnb is now the same, and that is a private list. So if you are in an Airbnb, and think about how big Airbnb is now. If you're in an Airbnb and the owner didn't like something or said you did something, even if you didn't do it, they can alert Airbnb. It's kept confidential. You have no right to see what your accuser is telling you, and you are banned from all Airbnb. WhatsApp, also developing for communications, a new social credit score. For example, you can be banned on WhatsApp if too many other users block you. You can also get banned for sending spam, threatening messages, trying to hack or reverse engineer the WhatsApp app, or using the service with an unauthorized app. Now, this is small potatoes in the United States, but not for the rest of the world, because in many parts of the world, this is the main form of communication. Not being allowed to use WhatsApp in some countries is like not being able to use a telephone in America. Now, here's the problem. Nobody likes antisocial, violent, rude, unhealthy, reckless people. We got it. So what's wrong with this technology? As I have said before, what is now being built completely changes our system. We have always had protections of the First and Second Amendment. We've had protections of privacy, supposedly, under the Constitution. We don't anymore. First Amendment, freedom of speech? Nope. How about freedom of assembly? Nope. Freedom of assembly with people that you choose? Nope. It's not protected. Freedom of religion? No. They're banning Christian ads now just because they're Christian. That doesn't sound like a good thing. And that's protected by the Constitution. Not really. Second Amendment? Nope. Anybody can say, no guns here. And they don't have to do anything about it. They can pressure banks now to say, don't do business with the gun manufacturers or the gun businesses or people who have a gun. Don't do business with them. We're going to cancel their financial services. Totally fine, because it's a private company. Don't quarter soldiers in the house. Well, the NSA is already doing it, but so is Google, so is Amazon. They're listening to your conversation. There is no such thing as privacy anymore. And no law can stop these things because they're private companies. They can do whatever they want. In China, they're doing it by force because the government. China is going this way just as Orwell predicted in 1984. But just as Brave New World predicted, Huxley said it would come with a big happy face on it. It would come through service and it would be great and you'd want this service. Both of those. I remember a time within the last 10 years, people were saying, oh, looks like Huxley was right, Orwell was wrong. No. They were both right. One, 1984, fits the East. Huxley applies to us in the West.
Wireless radiation has biological effects, period. This is no longer a subject for debate when you look at PubMed and the peer-reviewed literature. These effects are seen in all life forms: plants, animals, insects, microbes. In humans, we have clear evidence of cancer now. There is no question. We have evidence of DNA damage, cardiomyopathy, which is the precursor of congestive heart failure, neuropsychiatric effects. Why do I say this? We've been sitting on the evidence for EMR and chronic disease for decades. And now we're seeing all these epidemics appearing. So diabetes is the first epidemic. I think most of you know the statistics. They're very scary. 1 in 3 American children will become diabetic in their lifetime, and if they're Hispanic females, the number is 1 in 2. So what does this have to do with wireless radiation? Wireless radiation and other electromagnetic fields, such as magnetic fields and dirty electricity, have been clearly associated with elevated blood sugar and diabetes. That is what the peer-reviewed literature says. It is not opinion. The closer you live to a cell tower, the higher your blood glucose. That is based on hemoglobin A1C measurements. The way you create a model of diabetes in rats in the lab is by exposing them to 2.4 gigahertz. And this is not for long-term exposure. What is our exposure? in a day. It's not one cell phone. It's cell phones, it's multiple wireless networks, it's smart meters, it's cell towers. It's this sandwich, and it all adds up. And this is a serious problem for occupational health, public safety, and personal safety.
The phone company Sprint shut down a cell phone tower on the campus of a California elementary school after some parents said it may be linked to several recent cases of childhood cancer.
Kelly Prime's son Kyle was just 10 years old when he was diagnosed with kidney cancer in 2016. 5 months later, Kyle's friend and classmate Mason Ferrulli developed brain cancer. 2 more kids at the school were diagnosed this year. The moms believe the recent increase in cancer cases could be caused by radiation from radio frequency, or RF waves, coming from this cell tower located on the elementary school campus.
We've heard from a lot of witnesses, from you today and others previously, about the very important potential of 5G technology. It promises to bring us a new era of connectivity with internet speeds as much as 5 times faster than what we have today, with much lower latency, and that's all a good thing. But 5G, as you well know, also uses higher frequency waves that don't travel as far and will rely on a network of hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of small cell sites. And the question then is, are there any health implications, any public safety implications to those additional sites that are likely to be located close to homes, schools, workplaces, and closer and closer to the ground? My question for you, particularly Mr. Gillen and Mr. Berry, how much money has the industry committed to supporting additional independent research? I stress independent research. Is that independent research ongoing? Has any been completed? Where can consumers look for it? And we're talking about research on the biological effects of this new technology.
Thank you, Senator. I think, thank you for your focus on the issue. Safety is paramount, and as you alluded to, we rely on the expert agencies, we rely on the findings of the FDA and others as to the requirements to keep all of us safe. There are no industry-backed studies, to my knowledge right now. Happy to visit with you as to what opportunities you think there needs to be more studies, and we're always for more science. We also rely on what the scientists tell us.
So essentially, the answer to my question, how much money? Zero.
Senator, to my knowledge, there's no active studies being backed by industry today.
The race to 5G is a race America must win, and it's a race, frankly, that our great companies are now involved in. We've given them the incentive they need. It's a race that we will win. To accelerate and incentivize these investments, my administration is focused on freeing up as much wireless spectrum as needed. We're going to free it up so they'll be able to get out there and get it done, and removing regulatory barriers to the build-out of networks.
The answer to my question, how much money? Zero.
To my knowledge, there's no active studies being backed by industry today.
United Nations Partnerships for Sustainable Development Goals. The United Smart Cities is a project for the United Nations to unite all of the digital smart cities globally under the same goal of fulfilling the Sustainable Development Goals. Their goal is to have artificial intelligence tracking the blockchain in every single one of these cities globally in order to meet all of the Sustainable Development Goals. This makes the global government bypass the national governance and turns these cities into city-states. Through controlled opposition, Donald Trump is helping dissolve the current world order. This creates conditions for the formation of the new world order, thereby helping the agenda. World leaders are now saying that the cities need to take the lead in the establishment of the Sustainable Development Goals. This was planned long ago when the world mayors had went to the Vatican to meet with the Pope to discuss the sustainable development. Mayors of 7,400 cities worldwide have vowed to keep the commitments made by Pope Francis and Barack Hussein Obama for the Sustainable Development Goals. The Sustainable Development Goals, being monitored over 10 world regions by a biometric tracking implant, is the mark of the beast.
ultimately, we can do a full brain-machine interface. Yeah, this is going to sound pretty weird, but achieve a sort of symbiosis with artificial intelligence. But I think with a high bandwidth brain-machine interface, I think we can actually go along for the ride. And we can effectively have the option of merging with AI.
Be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over the darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand firm, praying at all times in the Spirit, with all prayer and supplication. To that end, keep alert with all perseverance, making supplication for all the saints. Love your enemies, and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the just and on the unjust. Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God, in Christ Jesus, for you.